GM Ross Atkins has revealed the reason why the Toronto Blue Jays acquired Daulton Varsho and the role that he will play not only this year, but for his remaining controllable seasons. We'll bring you that and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Merry Christmas Eve, and to all of you that celebrate, happy holidays. We want to thank you all for the support. Yesterday was an unbelievable day. We want to give a special thanks to Facade for his generosity on stream, and want to thank all the viewers that tuned in. It was just an unbelievable day to be a Blue Jays fan. Some great news coming out of Jays land as well, so we'll break it down further today. But first, thank you and happy holidays.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And if you want to check out that live stream, it's still available. And we're so close to 5,000 subscribers. We're less than 100 away. Our goal was Christmas. So if you want to, tell your friends, your family to hit the subscribe button for the holidays, it'd mean a lot. But yeah, take care of yourselves. And let's just get right into the main topic of the video. Peter, huge news. I'm sure most of you guys have heard. Daulton Varsho is a Toronto Blue Jay, and I texted you that last night because it's just starting to kick in even more and more. And Ross Atkins spoke out today on the truth behind the trade, why he did it, why Lourdes Gurriel Jr. was included, and much more. So let's just get right into it, and we'll discuss our reaction to the trade while we break this down. So there's a lot of screenshots today. He said a lot, and let's just get right into it. So he started off by saying, Daulton Varsho is about as good a fit for us as we could have found. With his power, elite defense, and ability to catch, he's the ideal fit. He also went on to say, he characterized the Daulton Varsho deal as a very significant one that addresses the needs on both ends of the ball. We are extremely excited about the fit, the person, the teammate. I cannot imagine a better fit. So he said a lot more, but let's just get your opinions on that, and maybe your quick opinions on the trade as a whole in case the viewers missed the live stream last night.
Now, I've seen a lot of questions that have been raised among our viewers, among Jays fans in general, and they're saying, why did we give so much up for a guy that's going to play left field? Okay, now Daulton Varsho is going to be our center fielder of the future. It just so happens that we have the greatest defender of this generation that we acquired not too long ago in Kevin Kiermaier. So he's going to be our everyday center fielder. Varsho is either going to play left or right. And with the shift being gone, there's no more four outfield lineup. You can't throw a fourth outfielder in there. So they're going to have to cover some major ground. So not only do you have Kevin Kiermaier, who gets to every ball, you have Daulton Varsho, who I think right now is the best defensive outfielder in all of baseball. He's surpassed Kevin Kiermaier. And you have George Springer, a guy who's not too shabby in his own right, a center fielder as well. So you have a very rangy outfield. And I think the Jays' focus right now is just improving their defense, and you can't get much better than what they have right now.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal point about the shift in the four-man outfield. And Daulton Varsho, I know a lot of people in the stream yesterday were looking at his average and stuff like that. He's 26 years old. He's a good, above-average hitter, and like you said, I would agree with you. The best outfielder in the MLB. He should have won Gold Glove in right field last year.
Well, defensively.
Defensively. Defensively. My bad. Defensively. But he's just unbelievable. He gets to every ball, and honestly, we'll definitely have a video in the future just discussing the outfield in general and what we think about it. But Ross Atkins went on to speak a lot more about Daulton Varsho and a recent acquirement. But before we get into that, he also spoke out on losing Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and he went on to say, including Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in the deal was difficult for us, but necessary from their end. Prospect-driven deals weren't as attractive to the D-backs. So that's very interesting, and it kind of makes a bit of sense. So apparently, according to Ross, we would have not gotten Varsho 1-for-1 from Moreno, and Lourdes was required in order to get the deal done. So it's what, put it over the edge for us.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to include him in this deal, but I mean, it's an upgrade nonetheless. And now the Jays are kind of scrambling for that fourth outfielder that mashes left-handed pitching, because Varsho and Kiermaier, you can't really rely on them to hit against lefties as great as they are defensively. So I think, now you're going to be scrambling to find an AJ Pollock type player, something like that to fill the hole that Lourdes Gurriel is obviously leaving with his departure. I wish him all the best. I think he's a phenomenal hitter. I don't know how great he'll be with his coming off that surgery, but I wish him all the best in Arizona. And we talked about it in the stream, Nick. I think this is also a culture change too. The Jays want to get serious about winning. And if you bring in a guy like Daulton Varsho, who said it himself, I'm 100% all the time. I'm always going full steam ahead. And that's the kind of player that you need, a player that leaves it all out there on the field. and I think they're assembling a roster of 9 players that are doing that right now. So I like this trade. You trade from an area of strength that you have. You have two really good catchers still. Although I think Gabriel Moreno is going to be unbelievable. He's going to be one of the top catchers pretty soon in the game. He just doesn't fit this team right now. And to deal from an area of strength like that and address a huge need that you had, it's a great move.
Yeah, and that's what people are saying. If you're a Diamondbacks fan watching the video, be happy as well. A lot of people are saying, and I kind of agree with it. I can see it as a win-win for both teams when it's all said and
Mm-hmm.
done. We improve now, and that's what Ben Nicholson was saying yesterday, and I believe it was a podcast or something like that. We improve now. We got the best player in the deal, and we still have our two, most MLB prepared MLB catchers on our team who are going to help us win. And like you've been saying and preaching, the window is, now over the next few years and next year especially as well. And like you said, Kevin Kiermaier is our center fielder because you don't pay him $9 million to not play center field because then his value is significantly diminished. So you put Varsho in left and he'll move into center field when next season comes along, unless Kevin Kiermaier he gets re-signed, but probably won't happen. But here's another quote by Ross Atkins: "We've been entirely focused on preventing more runs, and we feel we made huge strides in that area by adding Varsho and Kiermaier." And I just wanted to touch on the defense is going to be so fun to watch, and it's something we haven't really had in the past several years. Obviously, we had Pilar back in 2015, but the past few years with Teoscar, Lourdes, Springer, especially with Springer being hurt, the defense has not been, what you really need to be to make a World Series run.
No, they've totally revamped their roster, and the ship's going to be gone, like we said. So this is, man, you have three of the rangiest guys out there in the outfield, and George Springer. I mean, I think this is like an undervalued aspect of the trade. He's going to get to stay healthy, and he's going to DH a lot more now that we don't have to DH a catcher every single night. So it's going to allow Springer to be healthy for when the games truly matter in October. And I think that's a very undervalued aspect that this trade is bringing back to us. And we've said it all along, Nick. Once October rolls around, George Springer has whatever it takes to be our best player. And I don't think any differently this season. So I'm really glad that this deal was made. Sucks to see Lourdes go. I think Gabriel Moreno's going to have an unbelievable career in Arizona. But, you got to give up something to get something back. So it's a win-win trade for both teams, and you can't say that very often.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more clear what the Blue Jays' plan was this offseason, and it was to move George Springer to right field and surround and improve the defense. And changing the clubhouse was, I don't know if it would say it's a direct focus, but I think they knew it would happen based on what moves they had to make changing the defense with our weaker defenders.
Yeah,
But there's also a chance that they just directly wanted to change it. We also have Don Mattingly, don't forget. So there's just major clubhouse
exactly.
change. Yeah, major clubhouse change. And then Daulton Varsho now. They clearly wanted him, and they had to give up Lourdes to get him, which hurts a little bit. But I don't know. I was never super high on him, especially with this, the new defense thing. But like you said, AJ Pollock is a player that would fit perfectly. We need someone in the outfield who can match lefties. And Ben Nicholson Smith went on Twitter and was talking about how maybe they're not done in the outfield. And the fourth outfielder who strictly matches lefties will help, especially with Varsho being very weak and hitting left-handed pitching.
Yeah, and I'll add to your point there. Like you said, Don Mattingly, look at who we've brought in. Don Mattingly, Kevin Kiermaier, Daulton Varsho. Those guys know nothing but 100%, and they are winners. I mean, I can't really call Daulton Varsho a winner. He was on the Diamondbacks, but
He
I
wants to
mean,
win.
if you watch the guy play, he's so intense, and he never gives up on a ball, and that's what you need, especially in the AL East with all these big hitters, all these fly ball hitters. It's a very, undervalued move, I think, and it'll pay off. I'm just preaching patience to the Jays fans out there that are quick to write off Daulton Varsho just because of his batting average. He's also I have this stat that I wanted to add here. He was ninth in fly ball in line drives and fly balls hit. So that's in the entire MLB. So this guy is a dead pull hitter. He hits the ball in the air, and that'll play well. That'll play well in Yankee Stadium, in Rogers Center, wherever you play in the AL East. Those numbers play, those metrics play, and he's a dead pull hitter, like we said. So the shift's gone. It's going to help him out a lot. I expect offensive jump
I do.
for Daulton Varsho.
Yeah, I do as well. And maybe his power will jump more. Obviously, the Rogers Center had those renovations coming. And another quick thing on George Springer. When he played right field last year, he played it very, very well. Well above average. the screenshot and the video went around of that crazy catch by George Springer. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sure you have, but it went
Against the
around.
Astros,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think a 3% catch rate or something crazy like that. And moving him there will improve our defense. And, just replacing him in center, who's above average center fielder as well. But our defense is going unbelievable. And I'll pop up the final two screenshots here, and then we'll wrap it up. Basically says Atkins says that all left-handed hitting coming off the board increased the Jays' urgency and anxiety, and likely got them to move on from Gurriel. But that they've been in touch with the D-backs the whole season, which is very interesting, working various iterations. And then he ended it with he'll predominantly be playing left field for the Blue Jays. But we'll also get time in center and some behind the plate, so he will be catching. And I think that has a lot to do, not to be catching very much, but I think it has to do with some of the fact that, Kirk's body type and maybe the questions about his durability. Just giving him some off days is very important. So maybe Varsho will slide in, especially and more likely when there's, if an injury happens. I feel like it's saying when there's an injury going to happen, but there probably will be at some point. So when an injury happens, it gives more versatility.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want him catching unless there is an injury because I still think you can go through a full 162 with Alejandro Kirk and Danny Jansen if they stay healthy. But obviously, if Danny Jansen goes down, then that's when it becomes a bit of an issue, and Alejandro Kirk can't catch 7 days a week. So you gotta slide Daulton Varsho in there. But he's one of the more unique players in the league. I don't think anyone else can really do that besides maybe Gabriel Moreno further down the line for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So you addressed a need. You got your left-handed hitter, a guy that can play multiple positions, runs the bases incredibly well. He'll steal a base every now and then for you, and he's just a solid player. He would have had the highest wins above replacement last year if he was on the Toronto Blue Jays. So it's just a great move. The guy is a very good player, and he's just starting to enter his prime right now. So I don't see any world where this deal doesn't work out, not only for the Blue Jays and for the Diamondbacks.
I think it works out with both teams, and I think, we know the Jays are going for it now, and it's an exciting time to be a Jays fan. We have a few more tweaks to do. We have some bullpen moves, hopefully, to make, and especially a left-handed masher, but I'm excited to see where it goes from here, and we got our guy. Daulton Varsho will be our center fielder of the future and our left fielder in the upcoming year. But that'll wrap up the video. Again, happy holidays. We will have a video for you guys on Christmas Day, so look forward to that. It'll be a bit of a Christmas special, but take care of yourselves, and the support's been unbelievable. Maybe we can hit 5K by Christmas, but if not, just, your support and views have been is perfectly enough. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Merry Christmas.